the Q&A bit towards the end of the presentation. So please put your questions in, we'll definitely get to them. I think everyone that we're waiting on is on. I think we might, oh, we do have Doug, so perfect. We have everyone. Okay, perfect. So we have everyone that we were waiting on. So I think we can go ahead and start. Thank you all so much for joining. We're so glad to have you at our Residential Solar 101 webinar, and thank you for being part of Solar Week 2022. My name is Tabeen Hussain, and I'm the Solarize Philly Program Manager from the Philadelphia Energy Authority. In this session, I'll be providing an introduction of the Solarize Philly program. I'll also be joined by one of my colleagues, Rashika, from our Green Bank affiliate organization, the Philadelphia Green Capital Corps, who'll provide some background information about our Share the Sun program. Then we'll hear from our 3 partner installers. We're joined by Tom Neihart, CEO of PosiGen, Jared Pashko from Solar Estates, and Zach Dean from Solar Estates, and Doug Jones from Superior Solar Design. Then we'll hear, oh, sorry, Doug Davis. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. Then we'll hear from a Solarize Philly homeowner, Leslie Gaines, about her experience going solar. I just want to start by saying a huge thank you to all of them for joining and for the wealth of information that they're bringing to the session. We hope this session is informative, and if you're interested, please check out our other Solar Week events at our website, solarizephilly.org/events. And if you're interested in signing up for the program, you can also do so at our website, but just solarizephilly.org. Thanks for joining and for your interest in solar. Again, we look forward.
I just wanted to say you did it today was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It really was something special.
Thanks. I appreciate you saying that. I think I might ask you to go on mute just for this portion of the presentation. I think we're getting a little bit of background noise. Okay, perfect. Sorry. I think we'll have like a, each of our installers will have a chance to give their presentation and answer questions. So we'll get to all of those when we get to that part of the presentation. In general, we look forward to answering all your questions at the end of the presentation, but I'll get started with some background on Solarize Philly. So I'm here to talk to you about the City of Philadelphia's initiative to make solar affordable and accessible to all homes and businesses. But first, some background about the Philadelphia Energy Authority. We're an organization based in action, and our mission is to use energy as a tool for impact. We work in the community by using energy as a driver for economic development, creating jobs, alleviating poverty, and improving public health. I'm excited to share that Solarize Philly is the largest Solarize initiative in the United States. Here's a summary of the impact that we've created. We've had over 10,000 households sign up and over 1,000 contracts signed. We generated over 5 megawatts of electricity, invested over $19 million in Philly's clean energy economy, and created over 100 direct jobs. For our residential program, we work with 3 installers, PosiGen, Superior Solar Design, and Solar Estates. For our commercial program, we also work with Solar Estates and EDP Renewables. Anyone can request any of them and can even contact them directly to sign up. The lease is our newest option, and is only available through PosiGen. Here's a map of our distribution of signups and contracts. Our experience in the first 4 years of the program was that signups and contracts were mostly in wealthier zip codes, and we had a lot less penetration in other zip codes. So we evaluated our impact and expanded Solarize Philly with a lease model to increase accessibility for everyone, including to low and moderate income households, which we'll get into in a few slides. But first, some reasons for going solar through Solarize Philly. We use fully vetted contracts. We put out an RFP and selected solar installers specifically for this Solarize Philly program. We've checked their references and sent inspectors out to visit installations to make sure that they're doing quality work. We negotiated pricing with our selected installers to get customers competitive rates and ensured important consumer protections are in place. Finally, we also ensure that all equipment used meets quality and safety certifications. Our model also supports lower income Philadelphians to go solar and supports our job training program. Another reason for going solar, and to a lot of people, arguably the main reason, is the difference that you can see on your electricity bills. This is a bill shared by one of our customers. As you can see, we do see a peak in the electric bills in the winter months. In this case, the customer had a heat pump system, which means she was heating her house with electric in winter. There's also less sun in the winter, so her system was generating less. However, she's getting a surplus in March, May, and June. You can see over here, sorry, on this side, that is carries over and provides her with a credit. In November, when she does have some usage, she's still paying less. You can see on this side and then on this side. In the rest of the year, she's paying nothing or generating credits. Solarize Philly has grown significantly since its launch in 2017. As I mentioned before, we now have a solar lease that's available to households of all income levels via our installer, PosiGen Solar. The program has also expanded to include large multifamily and commercial installations, which are done through our installers EDP Renewables and Solar States. We offer support for commercial properties with direct ownership or power purchase agreement options. Our installers have a range of financing options available for interest property owners, and there's also a 26% federal tax credit for installed solar. But another option is to lease the solar panels. Our model has a $0 down and no credit score or income requirements. This lease provides a fixed monthly payment for a 20-year term, and the pricing is designed to guarantee utility cost savings. PosiGen also offers free energy efficiency improvements included to help lower utility costs. Now some background about roof conditions. Panels can go on any roof, but we think of it as a 30-year investment, so we recommend that the roof should be in good condition and less than 5 years old. Our installers provide 10-year workmanship warranties, including for any roof damage. Solar panels also extend the life of your roof by sheltering those areas from UV light and associated wear. If you ever do need to do work, your installer can remove and reinstall the panels. By going solar through Solarize Philly, you're also supporting our job creation efforts. Our Bright Solar Futures program has both an in-school and out-of-school model. This is the most robust high school solar training in the country. We're training the youth so that they're ready to take up the clean energy jobs we're simultaneously creating the demand for. We're working to support the entire ecosystem of clean energy development and to set up participants with great living wage jobs. The last thing I want to touch on is the Share the Sun program, but I'm going to pass that over to my colleague Rashika, who can go into it will be able to explain it a lot better than I can.
Awesome. Thanks, Tabine. And thank you everyone for joining today. As Tabine mentioned, I work at the Philadelphia Green Capital Corp, which is a Green Bank affiliate of the Philadelphia Energy Authority. We launched last September with a focus on really figuring out new and creative financing ways of supporting all the great work that Philadelphia is doing, or the PEA is doing, but also supporting just the broader green energy economy in Philadelphia. And so one of the ways that we're able to do that is via our Share the Sun program. So for individuals who get solar on their rooftops, they are generating something called solar renewable energy credits. For each megawatt hour of power that a household generates, they receive these economic performance-based and incentives from the state that they live in. In Pennsylvania, these credits tend to be worth about 40 or 50 bucks, and a traditional home in Philadelphia County generates about 5 of these SRECs per year. So individuals who have these SRECs that they generate, they can choose to monetize them, or they can donate them to us at Philadelphia Green Capital Corp. Tabine hinted at this earlier, but one of the newer initiatives that PEA is doing as part of their Solarize program is supporting installations for Solarize on more rooftops, especially focused on low to moderate income homes. And the Share the Sun program supports that initiative by helping subsidize the cost of these solar installations for low to moderate income homeowners. So from our side, we are actually managing these SRECs, and if a single homeowner in Philadelphia County donates the SRECs that they generate over the lifetime of their system's life, they'll be able to help one whole family go solar, which means they're essentially subsidizing the cost to make it a lot more cost effective and accessible. At the end of the day, something like solar really can be like life-changing. Beyond just reducing things like utilities costs, it also lifts asset value and really can prevent people from having to think about how excessively high energy burden and energy costs can be, especially as temperatures are getting higher in the summers and winters are getting colder and electricity bills are getting higher. Something like solar can really help a family pick between having to think about how excessively high their utilities cost is and essentially balance that with other needs that they have in their lives economically. So if you have solar and are interested in learning more, or are participating in the Solarize Philly program and would like to share your SRECs with the Share the Sun program, feel free to check out the website below, and we're happy to chat more about what that participation program could look like. I'll turn it back over to Tabine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rashika. That's almost it. If you're interested in going solar, just wanted to share that's a very easy process. We have a very quick and easy form on our website that asks for some basic information. We'll connect you with our pre-approved installers who'll provide you with a free, no commitment assessment. They'll review your PICO bill to determine your energy needs and check if your roof is eligible for solar. Solarize Philly is open now, but the deadline for signing a contract with our installers for this phase is on October 31st. We'll be relaunching in 2023, but we haven't set that date yet. If you have any questions about the process, please let us know. If you have any questions or if you want to help us reach out to folks, or if we can come to your community organization, we're happy to do that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer at the end of our presentation, but you're also more than welcome to reach out to us directly. From here, I'm going to pass it on to Jared from Solar States, or Jared and Zach.
Good evening. Great to see that there are so many participants here tonight, and that there's such a robust chat going on in the Q&A. I'm sure we'll get to that soon. We had a really wonderful turnout this morning at the kickoff event for Solar Week, a press conference at the North Apron of City Hall. I'd like to echo some of the notes that I had shared there about the momentous occasion that we are all in right now. As you may know, Congress last week passed the most substantial legislation for solar and electrifying our economy in the history of the country. Over $400 billion allocated to these energy upgrades. And that's going to really help our industry grow. It's going to help homeowners go solar, and it's going to provide lots of incentives that are available now. It is currently available for folks in a variety of ways, which if you're interested in, you can always reach out and talk to us about. So very briefly, as to being said, my name is Jared. I work for Solar States. Solar States is the hometown solar heroes. We are the only solar installer based in Philadelphia, founded in 2008. Our founder, Micah, set out with a vision to install solar, but also create the on-ramp to the green collar economy. And his first major project was a curriculum that he designed for high school students in order to train them in vocational training and career technical training to become solar installers. And that program resulted in graduates that he later realized didn't have jobs. And so in order to hire those folks, he started selling solar. And now, almost 15 years later, we have a robust company of Philadelphians from across a variety of our work training programs, like Bright Solar Futures from OIC and ECA, across many zip codes representing low-income neighborhoods and communities that have historically been marginalized. And we're paying living wages. We have great benefits, 401k plans and health benefits. Oftentimes, many of our employees have never had these types of benefits prior in a job placement. And we really hope to set them up as careers, careers that are stable and secured for the future, with lots of opportunity to grow. And so we hire out of those programs, and we've been doing that for over a decade, and we will continue to be doing that. We've got a wonderful team, about 45 folks over here, just off of 3rd and Girard, that come to work hard every morning and install solar for over the past decade. And, you know, some years after Micah started the company and the Philadelphia Energy Authority was founded, Solar States helped pioneer the first Solarize Philly program. Now almost 6 years ago. And we've been a participant ever since, kind of crafting the best way to support homeowners going solar. And it's great to have other partner organizations like Superior Solar and Doug, who's been in the solar game here in Philadelphia for a really long time. I know Mike has done some projects with you along the way. And like Julian and PosiGen, who are new to Philadelphia this year, but and new to solar in general, but are paving a path, helping folks go solar. And over the past decade, not only do we feel that equitability in solar is hiring people from every zip code, but it's also installing solar in every zip code. We pioneered the first solar savings grant program for low-income households, which has turned into a much more robust program called Built to Last. We started the Hunting Park Community Solar Initiative along with a number of community organizers to help low-income folks in Hunting Park understand how they could go solar. We've partnered with a variety of financing companies in order to offer zero money down, long-term leases, or loans rather, excuse me, long-term loans that are very easy to qualify for, that lower your energy costs, and that allow you to own a solar array. And so we're really excited to be able to continue hiring folks. And as a note on that, we're currently hiring. So if you know anybody looking for a job, send them to solarstates.com, have them apply for a job, and hopefully we'll be able to work with them soon. There's no greater time than right now. We are busting at the seams, and it's so great to see so many people interested in solar. One of those people that was interested in solar through the Solarize Philly program is Leslie Gaines, who's on the panel today. She went solar with us, I think, 4 years ago. 4 years ago, and you'll hear from her a little bit later, but I think her experience speaks to the experience of most of our customers. So I guess we'll go to the second slide. I don't think right here, this is perfect. So, you know, Solar States really believes in the idea of owning solar, and there are benefits to owning solar and of course to leasing solar. And I think Julian will speak to that when he is up. But, you know, we believe that solar ownership is like home ownership. You get to own the benefit, you get to own the asset, you're making an investment in your property that not only increases the value of the property, but also allows you to receive the maximum financial benefit. And so traditionally, owning a solar array can be cost prohibitive. There's a large upfront cost, and that burden has allowed us to partner with various financial institutions that offer great loans that are designed for solar. You can get pre-approved in minutes. We handle all of the back-end financing, so they pay us directly. You don't pay any money towards your loan until the solar array is installed. And as one of the things that I'll get to a little bit later, you know, these various incentives that are only growing now with the hopeful passage and final signing or the signing from President Biden of the Inflation Relief Act, you know, it's a significant burden to make a loan payment on a solar loan that you ultimately will get 30% back on. And so these loans are designed to take that into account and to give you basically money for free for the first, you know, 12 to 18 months of the loan, giving you time to file your taxes, get the tax credits back, and keep your monthly payments as low as possible. And of course, I used to say this a lot to my customers, they also allow you to keep that money. So if you want to keep your 30% tax credit and go on vacation or remodel your bathroom, that'll just change your loan payment. But typically solar loans have really good interest rates. And so sometimes people looking to get a loan rather than going to the bank can use the 30% from their solar loan to do something that they've been looking to do. So, you know, just really briefly here, I think one of the biggest aspects of understanding solar savings and understanding options for purchasing solar is the cost of waiting. So you can see by this graph, which is mostly illustrative, but definitely describes the story. Today, you haven't had any major financial investment. And if you were to purchase a system for cash, you'd have a large financial investment, but your energy bills would go to zero and you'd be saving hundreds of dollars every month. And so you can see there that eventually the cost of the solar array outweighs the savings that you're getting, outweigh what you otherwise would be spending on your utility bills. then you're getting electricity not only for free, but also that is actually making you money. And solar arrays are warranted through manufacturers for over 25 years. So this is really a great investment in a asset like a home where you already have a 25-year mortgage. And so kind of looking at the loan option is great because you don't spend any money out of pocket, just like you're not spending any money on your utility bills, big lump sum investment. We get the solar array installed for free to you. The loan company pays us, and then they start billing you monthly. Your monthly bill payments are similar to your utility bills. But eventually those loan payments are completed. We offer everything from a 5-year loan to a 25-year loan, depending on what you want your loan payments to be and how long of a term you want. And so eventually that loan is paid off. And again, the electricity is free and you're now creating new revenue. You're starting to make money. But by and large, the largest thing that people always forget about is the cost of waiting. I have so many customers who come to me and they explore going solar, and it's an educational experience, which I'm thrilled to provide. And they see a big dollar ticket, they see a long-term loan, and they decide, you know what, we're going to wait a year. But they pay $150 a month. That's $1,500 a year. That's $5,000 over 4 years. And so that big ticket number that they saw for the solar starts looking smaller and smaller. And unfortunately, when they come back to me 2 years later, which always happens, they've paid all that money to the utility company that they're not going to be getting back. And so that's the real cost of waiting and the real reason why going solar now is so important. And it's not a sales gimmick. Thankfully, as I said, we are happy to talk to folks because we have a dual mission to educate and to install. So if I get a chance to tell somebody about how solar works and they become a solar advocate and they help fight climate change, I'm doing my job. But far too often, I find folks decide to wait, and the burden of waiting actually is what ends up preventing them from going solar. Maybe they've been in their house for 2 years. Great time to go solar. They've kind of settled into the home. They understand their energy bills. And they've kind of started getting into a rhythm, paying their mortgage. But if they wait 4 or 5 years and then they reassess solar, well, now they've been in their home 10 years or 8 years. Maybe they're thinking, well, when are we going to be empty nesters? Are we going to sell it? Is the payback going to be soon enough? And they start getting nervous. And now there's another reason why they have cold feet. All the while, they're spending thousands and thousands of dollars the way they did when they were younger renting. And so just the way that you invest in a home, investing in a solar array that you own, that's on your roof, is a great way to not only save money, but also to have energy independence, and also to feel great about your living quality and to help the planet. And last, but of course not least, support local jobs. Support folks in Philadelphia getting hired. As we come out of the pandemic, I think it is very apparent to me that the trend of global supply chains is shifting back to local economies. And there's nothing I'd like more. We want to hire local and we want to install local, and we hope that you all buy local. And we are Philly's local hometown heroes. There was, so kind of moving along towards this slide here, this shows just some of the economics related to going solar, and to kind of put to paper some of the aspects that I just spoke about. Installing solar over a lifetime of energy rate increases will undoubtedly save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're sitting in front of your computer, think about how much you pay every month for your utility bill, and then times that by 12 months of the year, and then times that by how many years you've lived in your home. And then times that by 25 and see how much that looks like over the lifespan of a solar array. It's quite significant. You can see here, this is an example project on a little bit on the larger side, but almost $74,000 of energy bill savings based on PICO utility rates. I'm sure you've all seen utility rates go up nearly 10% over the past 4 months. And there's a lot of history to show that that will continue. It's been happening for the past decade, and it's been pretty significant recently. Of course, you know, having a home in Philadelphia means that there are a lot of probable millennials that care about the environment that are going to be purchasing your home when you decide to sell it. And having a green home is certainly a great buying characteristic. And, you know, lots of ways that you can evaluate the value of your home. But one of the largest studies in the country, the Berkeley Lab study, which included 8 states, including Pennsylvania and New Jersey, studying home values over 15 years, comparing Pennsylvania solar homes to Pennsylvania non-solar homes, estimates that, you know, systems like this can increase your home's value anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000, for larger homes even more. Of course, in the middle, just quantifying the social impact that you'd be having, supporting over 200 hours of living wages for our team. It's really significant. And, you know, oftentimes people feel that they do lots of things for the environment, and that maybe not using a plastic straw is the equivalent of installing a solar array. And unfortunately, that's not the truth. Over 80% of the average person's carbon footprint comes from their home and their car, meaning that almost 50% comes from your home. And so being able to solarize your house really does allow you to make the statement about supporting the climate, fighting climate change. You know, a system like this, for example, is the equivalent of planting 4,000 trees, excuse me. And, you know, for the next time you're out in the Wissahickon, see how many trees are there. And I think you can feel pretty good about going solar. I think that's my time, so I'll turn it over. It's been really great, you know, being able to share about this. And I look forward to talking to all of you folks soon as you decide to solarize your homes.
Thank you so much, Jared. That was a lot of great detail, and I'm really glad all the really concrete examples we appreciate, especially on this slide. Yeah, from here, I think we'll pass it on to Doug Davis from Superior Solar Design.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. And just wanted to talk a little bit about something we talked about earlier today, and that is different types of roofs and reasons why people may be thinking that they might not be able to put solar panels on their home. So something that's pretty common in the city is working with flat roofs. But you can have a flat roof, you can have a metal roof, you could have a cedar shake roof, you could have pretty much any type of roof and be able to get solar panels on there. So I just wanted to dispel any of those notions or things people may have heard that definitely aren't true. So if you have some questions about solar panels, I encourage you to contact the Energy Authority. And then in turn, they'll put you in touch with people that'll be able to answer your questions intelligently and correctly. So it's real important for people to know what's going on in solar right now is basically another revolution of sorts. Our government has stepped up. They've done something they said they were going to do, and everyone is going to reap the benefits. Not only this generation, but generations and generations to come. So you can consider, you know, a lot of people, the reasons they used to get solar panels back in the old days was to save money. But what I've seen lately is more and more people saying, I want to do something where I'm leaving this planet better than when I got here. And that's really, really what makes us so proud to be part of this collaboration, a part of Solar Week 2022. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions they'd like to talk about, but ears are open.
Thanks so much, Doug. I'm skimming the Q&A, and there's a lot of great questions in there. I think what makes the most sense is let everyone present with. We just have Tom Neihart next from PosiGen, and then we'll go through those questions and open it up some more after that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks again. From here, I think if Tom, if you're able to join, and just let me know when you want me to click to the next slide.
Well, I don't need to look at a picture of myself, so let's go ahead and click to the next slide.
Sure.
Look, I'm really excited to be here. PosiGen is so excited to be part of the Philly program. We've done Solarize campaigns all over the country, and our tagline is Solar for All. And in Philadelphia, I believe that you guys really are investing in that, and that makes such a difference. So a little bit about PosiGen, if you want to go to the next slide. Our relationship here with Philadelphia, we've already started working with over 800 families. We've hired 20 local staff members. We partner with 14 local organizations, and we've hosted over 35 events. We are investing in Philadelphia. We're very excited to be here. We hope that within the next 18 months that our staffing gets up to 100 people. We've already secured additional warehouse space here. We will be hiring locally, training locally. Kind of like Jared, we really believe in investing in the communities. We believe not only in helping people in those communities, but also providing jobs. I'm very proud to say that of our 540 team members, over 65% of our team members are persons of color or female or both. We think that that makes us a stronger organization with that diversity. A little bit more about PosiGen on the next slide. We focused on trying to help the families that need it the most. When my wife Lisa and I founded PosiGen back in 2011, the city was post-Katrina. There was really a tale of two cities, right? And if you went to the more affluent neighborhoods, people had their homes rebuilt, they were elevated, they had solar, they had energy efficiency. You went into New Orleans East and Gentilly, the homes were still, flood ravaged, doors were hanging off the hinges, people weren't back yet. And we were doing everything that we could to help. I was rebuilding pump stations, and my wife was helping with low-income families. And we started to take a look around and see how we could help invest in low-income communities and communities of color. And we thought one of the best ways was investing in solar. And we quickly realized with the pretty low cost of retail solar back in 2011 in Louisiana that we couldn't get there with solar alone. So we decided to do energy efficiency work at no additional charge on every one of our solar installs. We ask all the time, why would you settle for only half of a solution? We put solar on the roof to create power, but we do the energy efficiency work to reduce the consumption in the home. And that increases savings over solar alone by 30 to 50, sometimes even 80 or 100% additional savings, depending on the age of the home. So we're investing in the house. We're sealing the exterior of the home to reduce the amount of air exchange between the interior and exterior of the home. When you're in low-income communities, when you're in communities of color, a lot of times they're built next to wastewater treatment plants or factories, industrial complexes. There's highway overpasses built through them. So the air quality in those neighborhoods are worse than they are in more affluent neighborhoods. So if you have a lot of air intrusion, then you're getting spores of mold and dust and water intrusion in the home, and the air quality in the home itself is poor. So we do the work to seal the exterior of the home, to seal the ductwork, to seal off the non-heated and air-conditioned portions of the home from the living sections. We're making the air in that home healthier. We're making the people that are breathing that air healthier. And I think that when we look at that micro environment in each customer's home, the difference that we're making there is just as big and just as important as the difference we're making in the environment in the country and in the world. So we really focus on that, and we focus on helping low-income families, helping in communities of color. And to do that, we don't check credit. We don't have FICO score requirements. Everybody's accepted. We base our underwriting on how much money we can save our homeowners. We're one of the only solar companies I know of that gives not only a production guarantee on their solar panels, but also a savings guarantee, that we guarantee that you're going to pay us less in the very first year than you save on your utility spend. So we're all about putting money back in people's pocket immediately and making an impact right away. And as working family and growing up with a couple of kids, I remember how tight our budget was back in the day. Of course, now I've got grandkids, which are a lot more fun, but putting money back in people's pockets is so important. And to Jared's point, energy independence, having a say-so in where you're creating your power, making a difference in the world, it really does make a difference. So we're very excited. We've helped over 20,000 families now in 8 states. We have over 104 megawatts installed. That graph's a little bit old, but we've got now almost 540 team members across the country. Then last slide. Oh, I'm sorry, second to last slide. The benefits of energy efficiency, we talked about increased comfort and health. You get rid of your hot and cold spots, your drafts. We're investing in the home. Everything that we do in the home is going to help increase the value of the home. We really focus on how we can save people money, how we can invest in the home. So every single solar install, again, gets us energy efficiency upgrades. We do a full BPI energy efficiency audit, and then we go through and select the things that are going to have the biggest impact in each of those homes. So everyone gets a customized energy efficiency upgrade. I'm sorry, now the final slide. So as a recap, we've got 4 missions. Lisa and I are very passionate about them. The first is we want to make a positive financial impact in the families we serve. We want to make a positive financial impact in the communities we serve. That money gets reinvested time after time in those communities. We want to create jobs and career opportunities for our team members. We career path with every one of our team members. I liked hearing earlier somebody mention a living wage. We've been having a living wage since 2011 when nobody's even talking about that. Today, all of our starting team members make no less than $16 an hour, and we have incentive programs for all of our team members. We also have a great benefits program. We match dollar for dollar on 401ks. We also invest in training and long-term career pathing. And then, of course, as we discussed, saving the environment, both on a macro level, the impact that we have on the world environment, but in that micro environment inside each customer's home, which we think is so important. So, solar leasing and solar loans, there's a lot of differences. Solar leasing is about upfront savings. Solar loans about long-term owning the system. With a solar lease, we're going to take care of everything. If you have an inverter go out or you have a problem, we're going to fix it. We had Hurricane Ida came through Louisiana last year, and I could tell you there was a lot of systems that had trees fall on them, et cetera. We insure it, we take care of it. And of course, we're going to service and maintain your system for the entire 20 years that you sign a lease with us. Whether you go solar loan, whether you go solar lease, I agree with everybody. The time to do it is now. We can save you a lot of money. Whichever way you pick, you're making a difference. You're making a difference in your family's lives. You're making a difference in the community and the environment. So we hope that you choose to join one of these solar companies that you see here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. I think our plan now is to show a video that Leslie Gaines, our wonderful Solarize Philly homeowner, graciously put together. She put together like a great tour of her solar install and describes like the entire process from start to finish. So I think it helps to see it visually instead of us just, talking at you about it. So I'll go ahead and start that video. Let me know if the audio works.
I can't hear it.
Oh,
No audio.
no audio? Okay. Let me double check that the sound thing is working.
Station serves electricity to my entire house.
Yep.
And I'm very happy with it. I've now been active for about 19 months. I'm going to take you for a little tour around my house, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges I faced along the way. I'm so glad I found Solarize Philly. The standard process for providing you an estimate is they send a drone to your house and they send it up to look over your roof. They measure everything and look at the integrity of your roof, and then they also ask you for your electrical bill to see what your usage needs would be. And then they will send you an estimate if it looks like a viable project. Solar State sent me a proposal for a 3.84 kilowatt system, 12 panels that would cover the 100% of my electric use. I was so excited. The next challenge was my roof, because even though I knew it was in good shape, it was 25 years old. It was made of coated asphalt, had never leaked, and was well maintained, but it needed to be replaced. I was advised that a good material for under my solar installation would be TPO. TPO is a solid membrane that has the advantage of not requiring periodic recoating, which would be inconvenient under for a solar installation. While I was at it, I decided to add a 2-inch layer of insulation under the TPO. This was a piece of deferred maintenance that would be much harder to accomplish once the solar was installed. During the roof installation, they accidentally cut my antenna wire. When I was trying to figure out what to do about that, I learned that that antenna had been casting a shadow over my roof. Since the antenna was old and damaged beyond repair, I realized the very best thing I could do was to just eliminate the antenna in favor of a better layout for my solar panels. Now I have room for 2 extra solar panels if I should need them in the future. The next step in the planning process is deciding where all of the equipment that is going to connect to your electrical system is going to go. A lot of people put the inverter box on the outside of their house. We decided since the inverter could not really fit in a good place on the outside, it could be put inside my garage. They drilled holes through that big stone wall to run the wiring through, and here we are at a solar inverter box, which is the standard equipment with any solar installation. This inverter is continuously sending data to solar states, and then it comes into my app, which I have on my phone, so I can see how my solar is performing. It has various different data points it looks at. An inverter converts the DC current of electricity to alternating current AC, which can be used to power the house. The inverter then has to feed the electricity back into the house where it will reach the electrical boxes. So they ran the conduit pipes up along the ceiling and took a turn back down into the back wall of the garage where it enters the house. You see they've done a really wonderful job of installing it neatly so that it doesn't interfere with anything else in the room. Coming back into the house, we find this closet which has a conduit pipe which is coming in from the garage. It goes across the basement ceiling above the pipes and into the next room, which is the lower basement, heading towards my electrical boxes. There's a nice bend. Voila, here we are. They have connected everything up to my electrical system. Now, they added an extra emergency kill switch here because of the distance between the inverter box and my electrical panels. It was a little larger than average. Most people will only need one of those on the outside of their house, but it all depends on your house, what you have to work with. It took about 3 days to complete the solar installation. Here we have the ballast that was used to weigh down the solar panels and the framing. We also have installers carrying panels up to the roof, and on a snowy day, the second day, they put the wiring up to the roof and back through into the house. The little box on the right is a safety feature which must be on the outside of the house with all solar installations. It enables the fire department to cut the power off if there's a fire or some other emergency. If you follow this gray pipe all the way up, it eventually makes it all the way up to the roof, where we have our solar installation. Finally, solar panels have been installed. The final step, once the solar is installed and once all the permitting has gone through the electric company, is PECO comes out and they install a bi-directional meter. So this meter runs in 2 directions, and it can tell the electric company when I'm producing electricity that is going back to their system because I'm not using it. Once the bidirectional meter is installed, there's a little more paperwork with the electric company, but pretty much you're good to go. The electric company then has a good record of how much electricity you're producing, and at night and when it's rainy or their solar panels are not performing to peak, how much electricity you are using from the grid. It's exciting to know that I'm now producing clean solar energy to power my house and also sending some back to the grid. With my app, I know that I've produced 7.6 megawatt hours of electricity, and I have these nice graphs that tell me my monthly performance. A very bright sunny day will show up as a nice bell graph on my daily performance stats. Otherwise, the more jagged appearance is more common, representing clouds or rain. The best news is that I know that my solar installation has prevented the emissions of 11,800 pounds of CO2, which is the equivalent of planting 89 trees. Go solar now, it's time.
Well, from here, thank you again to Leslie for putting together that detailed video. I really like having that level of understanding of all the steps of solar, and seeing it on the roof is always so fun to me. But from here, we wanted to go ahead and ask Leslie.
Hi.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that part. Okay, there we go. So from here, we're going to ask Leslie. She's on the call with us, and she have a couple, I was hoping that she could tell us what made her decide to go solar. When she went solar, how did it impact your costs? And then if you discovered anything in the process that you might want to pass along to others who are also going solar.
Okay, and happy to do so. And actually, I first started to think about going solar about 12 years ago when my then 16-year-old son came to me with a flyer for a solar program that they were in the neighborhood. And he said, "Mom, we really need to go solar. Please call these people now." And I'm like, well, okay. So, but I did, I called them because I love my son. And after all, it's really important to me that we do everything we can to make sure that our future generations of kids are protected from the coming effects of climate change. So I called them up, and they came out and they actually did an assessment using Google Earth. They didn't actually come out, but they could see my roof, and they estimated the size of my roof. They saw there's a big tree back there, and looked at my electric bill and said, "You know what, your roof is too small. We can't put enough panels on it to go solar for you to cover the usage of your house. And therefore, because the big tree is casting a big shadow, it's probably not a viable project." So I abandoned the project. And fast forward 8 years later, I was also being given a nudge from a friend of mine who was a solar installer to take a look again. And I also saw that there was a newspaper article about this new program called Solarize Philly. And in that program, they had all kinds of financial help. And I decided, why not just try again? So they came out and did the estimate. And sure enough, they were not only able to cover my roof with enough panels to meet my usage, but the costs were way lower than what my friend had quoted me. And so therefore I decided, yes, this is it, I'm going to do it. And the rest is history. Going to this slide, basically, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of a primer on electric bill. So if you are thinking of going solar, and this is something you're trying to figure out what it's going to cost or how big of a system you might need, you may want to pay extra attention right now. This slide is the baseline bill, which was used in June of 2018 to calculate the size of my system. Down in the lower left-hand corner, number 1 is the total annual usage. That's 4,876 kilowatt hours per year that I had used in the 12 months prior to that bill. That was what Solar States used to calculate my estimate. Then up on number 2 is the customer charge. And I apologize, this is really kind of small to see, but basically the customer charge is what Solar State said, once I put the solar up there, that would be my monthly bill. That's what PECO charges the customer once you go solar, just to keep you connected to their system and the grid. Theoretically, you shouldn't be paying more than that every month because they're going to size your system to cover what your actual usage is, so that anything that you use extra will be credited to you for upcoming months. And up in the right-hand corner is the usage. So if you take the amount from the usage from prior to solar and go back 12 months and calculate all of those, that comes down to this number on number 1 for your total annual usage. Next slide, please. Can I have the next slide, please?
Sorry about that.
Okay, so this is an after solar installed bill. This is actually a conglomeration of the first page and the second page with just the relevant portions highlighted. Once you go solar, the bottom left corner is the total annual usage changes. It is now only counting the amount of energy you took from PECO from the grid. Then the customer charge is a little higher on this one. It's $10.51, where the other one was $9 and some change. And that's because they update that amount every time they go through an electric rate change, they increase it. So it's increased a little bit over the years. The number 3 includes both the usage that you got from the grid, the amount of kilowatt hours you took from the grid, and also the kilowatt hours your solar system sent back to the grid, the amount that you didn't use in that month, which is going to be credited to your account. And number 4 just shows you how you can see which line is which, to the grid and from the grid. And then number 5, the typical bill, should be about $10.51 a month. There was a little bit of a credit, 2-cent credit, so they said $10.49. This is an April bill. Every year around April, they reconcile your bill. They count up the credits you have from the energy you sent to the grid, and they will calculate your bill to apply any of those credits, and you will actually get, probably only once a year, a 0 value bill. This is the total payment due is $0 because they're counting any credits that weren't credited before against your bill. And I didn't note on this little section in the lower right is where they calculate the running total of the credits you have saved in the bank, which is what they use to calculate that amount above the credits that you will zero out your bill. Next slide, please. So here we have a side-by-side comparison of my monthly electric bill. I used a February to January comparison because my solar went live February 1st, 2019. And so I used the nearest comparable year. So February 1st, 2019, or January 29th, 2021 to January 31st, 2022 was the nearest comparable year. So before solar, I was paying up to $154 a month in solar in the peak month. And my lowest bill was $71. And then after solar, it went from $0 to approximately $43. The biggest, most exciting part of that is my annual cost of electricity has dropped more than $900 a year. And then my monthly charges went from about $95 a year to about $18. I mean, $95 a month to $18 a month. Of course, the $18 a month is bigger than that $10.51. And that's because my system is probably a little smaller than what I actually need. And that I will discuss in a couple slides. Next slide, please. So here's a graph which shows the comparison of that last row of numbers. The green is the current charges with solar, and the blue line is what it cost me before I went solar. This is an interesting graph because if you compare it to graphs that were shown earlier in the presentation about another user who compared their solar expenses, and they had a very large increase in expenses in the winter months because they had a heat pump. Well, I don't have a heat pump, but I do experience the largest increases in my expenses in the winter months because my solar system is a little smaller than it probably needs to be. And in the winter months, I don't have enough banked credits to my account to make up for the fact that the sun is less intense in the winter and rain and snow make it harder to produce solar energy. Next slide, please. So this is a graph I generated basically from all of the data that I collected off of my Pico electric bills and combined it with data that I pulled off my Solar Edge app, which only reports on my solar production. And so there are a couple of really interesting things here. The most interesting things about this graph, I'll just say this is a July to June comparison because the total usage in 2017 and 18 at 4,876 kilowatt hours. That was the baseline that they decided to build my system on. That usage has actually been shown to be, I'm actually using a lot more energy every year than what was calculated. And the reason I'm using more energy is because the first reason is because I added extra air conditioners that I hadn't, we hadn't calculated that into the plan. And so I'm using a lot more air conditioning. And also the other thing that was not calculated into the plan was something that was, well, sort of expected, but we didn't take it into consideration because we didn't think it was going to happen this fast between 2017 and 18 and now the average daily temperature has increased by 2 entire degrees per month over the course of the year. So I'm using more air conditioning because it's hotter. And so in retrospect, I think my system was not quite sized right. You know, I'm not sure how that, well, we do know why it wasn't sized right, because I made changes to my household and also the temperature increased. So that's something that I would advise anybody who's going solar to do, is to, when you're planning your solar, make sure you think about, you know, are you going to be renovating your house? Are you going to be adding a wing? Are you going to be adding some appliance or changing the way you use electricity that will vastly increase how much electricity you use? I might eventually, right now I'm using gas for heat. I might eventually want to go to an electric heating system. And so that I'll need to plan for that. And so at this point, I'm thinking, yes, it's probably true that I'm going to need to add at least one more solar panel, if not more. And thank God I've got that extra space from the earlier part in the video. Wow, I can do that. The other, you know, the other thing I may plan for is to buy a battery for my system. But basically, every year I have learned new things from this process. It's a great process. There is one more little detail that I didn't mention earlier that I would suggest anybody who is working with a third party electric provider. I was using Green Mountain Energy. Make sure that you terminate your relationship with a third party supplier very early on in the solar installation process, because I actually lost about 4 months of credits because I didn't know that the Green Mountain Energy could not honor the net metering that was being done with my system. And so I did not get credited for the first 4 months of the solar, which I sent back to the grid. I think that's all I have to say for this point.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I mean, we've been talking beforehand, and just it's so great to keep having these conversations with Leslie and our customers, because I think we learn so much too as the process moves forward and as time goes on. But thank you again for giving us such detailed insight to the whole process and to your system. From here, I think our plan is I want to review the chat and, you know, check on all the questions that we didn't mean to ignore, but we want to make sure we address those first. And I'll kind of let our installers answer the questions more than I will, just because they are by far way more of the experts on solar than I am. Any program specific questions, I'm happy to answer as well. But let me just quickly check the chat. I don't think they're let me jump to the Q&A. So the first one that I'm seeing is, does the tax credit include direct pay options for non-taxable or low tax burden communities? I don't know if one of our installers is well equipped to answer that. I think that's referring to the federal investment tax credit.
Yeah, they don't have a direct pay option for homeowners. I think that there are direct pay options for nonprofits. So you'll see nonprofit groups, churches, et cetera, that couldn't participate before, including schools, et cetera, that now can get the tax credit and have it refundable. But for homeowners, it's not available yet in a direct pay. That's one of the reasons that, you know, leasing makes sense in a lot of cases for lower income families that don't have the federal tax liability and can't monetize that.
Okay, that's a great answer. Thanks, Tom. Did that answer the question, Chris? I don't know if I can enable you to be able to answer, but if we don't answer the question, feel free to drop any follow-ups in the Q&A bit. I think the next question is also great for PosiGen. Could you talk more about how Solarize Philly works with other whole home building electrification work, such as weatherization retrofits and heat pumps? I know PosiGen does a lot of work with energy efficiency, but in case other installers want to jump in, it's also happy to do that.
So from PosiGen's aspect, you know, we're going to provide energy efficiency with every installation that we do. There's no additional charge for any of the energy efficiency work. I know there's a lot of opportunity in the new climate bill or the Inflation Reduction Act for electrification of the homes, for heat pumps for water heating, heat pumps for heating and cooling your home, and EV chargers. So we're all very excited to see what the future will bring for that and how we can leverage that to help the homeowners save even more money.
Thanks again, Tom. If feel free to jump in to our other installers if there's anything you want to supplement the question, but I think that answered it really well. To the next question, I see Leslie Goldsmith. I live in a suburb. Can I go solar via Solarize Philly? I can just quickly answer that. I mean, our program is for Philadelphia residents. So as long as it's within Philadelphia, 100% yes. However, our installers very much work with everyone, all locations. So even if unfortunately you can't go through our program, you're more than happy to. The installers will definitely work with you to set up a proposal. Let me know if I didn't answer any question fully. Feel free to drop it in the Q&A and we'll get back to that. To Carolyn's question, I see that Solar States has a study abroad. Where did they go? I actually want to know the answer to that. I'm curious.
Yeah, so Jared had that slide up, and we both were kind of like, when did we do study abroad? So I don't think we actually technically have a study abroad program per se, but we also, when I texted him about it, because I wanted to see if I could get an answer for this, he's like, maybe we should work on that. So I think maybe part of the broader vocational programs and schools that we work with in developing our education programs offer the ability to study abroad, but also take the classes that we offer and the trainings that we've developed through them.
Sounds good. Thanks for clarifying. And yes, I was just actually reviewing the chat. I think I want to get this question before I forget it in the chat. I think someone pointed out, so Michael Thomas had a question. Is there a size limitation on the number of solar panels you can install based on your Pico usage?
There's not. It is a size limit on sort of, I think the maximum you can do in resident is 50 kilowatts. But unlike other states where they say you can only do 100% of your offset, Pennsylvania doesn't have a max on the percentage of your energy production. Granted, there might be some diminishing returns from a feasibility standpoint as far as going over too much, because as Leslie mentioned, you get credits for anything over 100% that kind of affect or diminish your Pico bill as a whole, from what I understand. So if you wanted to do 120% offset based on your current energy use, you're more than welcome to in the state of Pennsylvania. I know in Jersey, though, it's 100% at most.
Makes sense. Yeah, I know what you're talking about too. I think Pico might have had some sort of, you couldn't put more than 110% of your generation, but they did get rid of that.
Yeah, and I think, and PosiGen might be able to speak to this, there might be 110% on leases. Is that correct? Did I hear that right at some point?
I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. I know in Connecticut, it's 100%, 110%. I think you're right. In Jersey, it's 100%. I don't remember there being a limiting factor in PA, but I don't want to misspeak. Oh, 110%. There you go, Wyatt.
There you go.
Okay. Awesome. Another question I'd love to know the answer to: is there a recycling program in place for panels after their lifetime?
Does anybody? I can answer this unless Doug or PosiGen wants to hop on it.
I can answer it if you like.
Yeah, go for it, Doug.
Okay. There's very, very limited resources for recycling solar panels at the current time, primarily because of the cost of taking and separating all the raw materials that are used. So hopefully in the near future, that some recycling companies will be able to do something on a local level. Right now, the only thing available that we're aware of is where you have to basically ship your solar panels out, and then they take them from there.
Yeah, and I've seen a few articles that suggest there's going to be a need for a more robust recycling program with solar, especially because, as far as I understand it, the silica available on the planet cannot produce enough silicone to produce enough solar panels to offset all of our energy needs through solar alone. So therefore, as we run out of it, which is part of the tariff situation, lifting the tariffs in the Southeast Asia products that allowed for more silica to come out of China. As we run out of that raw material, the need to repurpose the existing silicone is going to grow.
That makes sense. Thanks for
Yeah.
that detailed answer. I didn't know that. And I think I saw a question at some point in the chat. I think it's one of those things that as the years go on, technology might catch up a little bit to meet the demand that we currently seeing, but not there yet. So hopefully we'll get there soon. And I think I see a question also from Chris for Doug. Do you happen to know how often consumers toss up between a green roof versus solar roof, or a combination of both?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. What?
Sure, I can read it out again. So do you happen to know how often consumers toss up between a green roof versus solar roof, or a combination of both? So I'm assuming like solar panels on a roof, or yeah, like a green roof, like
I mean,
plants for rainwater.
what we see are a combination of both. I think right now there's probably more green roofs that are being talked about than solar roofs. There are people that do both, but there's oftentimes limited space, so you have to choose one or the other.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I imagine though, if you wanted to do both, you could probably do a solar canopy style thing with plants that need lower light. Then you're getting solar on top, but then the rainwater is getting caught by the plants as well.
Sounds really cool. That's all the questions I see in the chat. Or in the Q&A, if I'm missing any, or if anyone has any additional questions, I can keep an eye on like the attendee box I have. I can open it up to people to ask the questions there as well.
Chris is the right idea. Agrovoltaics approach.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. You can hang out for a bit to make sure there's no other questions, but sorry, I think actually, wait, I see some more questions. Wait, no, these are answered, sorry. Or if there are any questions, I think our installers are, wonderfully answering questions in the chat. I went to that tab. If there's anything we didn't like more detail on, happy to go through that too. I don't know if our installers can see this Q&A bit, but if you want to skim through that, if there's anything that you think would deserve or you can supplement, happy to provide that additional detail.
Okay, Zach, do you want to take that question?
Which one? Oh,
I'm
sorry.
looking at
The
from-
open one.
regarding the
advice. Oh, yeah. I mean, so I don't know if that's necessarily something. I've seen a few of our installations where someone had a bit of a green roof aspect. I think it would be, I think any solar provider who maybe wants to look at, who is able to do a solar canopy option would probably be able to help with that concept. We've done a couple canopies in and around the city. They're a pretty cool product. They come from Brooklyn Solar Canopy. They attach to sort of the retaining walls of your home. They come up about 8 or so feet, depending on the permitting and sort of zoning variances out there. And you could then theoretically work to build in the green aspect. I don't think we do the green part, but we'd be more than happy to work with someone if you found someone who's an expert in green roofs or like a agriculturalist in that regard, and then we would help sort of with the solar aspect. We're definitely willing to collaborate and kind of work on that together.
I think that's a great answer.
That question to Jared, I think Jared had to go, but we do have, our agreement comes in both English and in Spanish at the moment. And, we're always, like, I don't speak Spanish myself, but if I ended up having a customer who did, I would definitely be reaching out to my entire team to look for someone who can help me and make sure that they understand what they're getting into. Because, when the language barrier occurs, you want to make sure that everyone has a crystal clear understanding of what they're getting into, what they're signing up for, and what they're agreeing to before we would ever have them, we wouldn't have them sign anything until they had full understanding of that.
Yeah, thanks for that answer, Zach. And I mean, from a programmatic side of things too, we're not quite there yet, but we really do want to expand that community outreach. Not only, in language, we want to, like we keep talking about making solar accessible for all. I think that for us, that means going out to underserved communities that we haven't, don't traditionally haven't had as much information access. So we're working on that. We're always looking for ways to improve. I think it's a work in progress. I think that's where we're at, but
Yeah.
we're definitely, I think our Spanish translation is a little bit better than the rest of our languages, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately, we're just not quite there.
Yeah. And I mean, like the whole point, is to create more equity for everyone, right? Energy, independence, and sort of agency in choosing how your energy is created, where it comes from. And that knowledge is incredibly important for every community.
I think our plan, I don't know if we quite have a plan there, but we're as many communities that we can get out to, we can hopefully build a presence and share information that way.
Absolutely. I think Sari had a question in the chat about capital or green capital core, how many SRECs are donated.
Yeah, I think Rashika had to drop off the call, but I think I actually saw her respond to another question, so I might try to go read that answer. There it is, I think. So what she had said previously was the number of SRECs created at a home's solar panel system is dependent on how much power is generated. So for example, at a home that generates 5 megawatts per hour in a year, the maximum amount of SRECs created that year is 5 SRECs. So I don't know if that fully answered the question. So I think it just depends on the size of your system. But the actual amount of clients that get subsidized per SREC, I don't know the answer to that, and I don't want to give you the wrong answer. But I think the number I keep hearing is, let me see if I can find it in the slide for it. I think I might have seen something there. There we go. So SRECs donated by one home can help one new family go solar. I don't know if that's like 100% contribution or if it's just, part of the, we offer some subsidies and everything. So I think it might be all together. The SREC is one part of the entire donation there. So yeah, so let's hop over back to sorry, I was just checking the chat to make sure we didn't miss any more questions there. To the question of, is it better to switch over to fully electric prior to determining the solar array required? I do see Leslie's typing an answer, I think, but if there's any installers or even Leslie who wants to answer that.
Actually, I'm going to answer it in person.
Yeah.
So I don't have a specific answer, but I think it would depend on how quickly you can convert your systems over. If it looks like you're going to be, maybe it's going to take you a year or a couple of years to get your systems up and running, and then you need some more time to figure out how much energy you're using. You might want to get at least the solar started and base it on, get some estimates on what a conversion, how a conversion would impact your electric use, and get the solar started and then build on your solar. I think it's not really easy to know exactly how much electric you're going to be using based on just estimates, but it's not impossible. I think that might be one way to go.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I mean, I think to that point, I think as best of an estimate as we can make, we can try to make, but at the same time, there's nothing, you don't have to wait to go solar while you wait for, getting your appliances or anything electric. There's always the option of, it's not always, and the installers are always able to add more panels later. Let's go back to this.
Right, yeah, basically, I had thought about possibly converting my heat to electric, but converting my gas boiler to electric is going to be a real major undertaking, unless I get mini splits or something and just put the gas boiler on a backup plan. So it takes quite a lot of planning to figure out what's the best way to go to convert your systems. And so it's definitely something you don't want to do. You don't want to delay your decisions too much while you're planning, because really the need for the solar is now, not later. And as Jared so eloquently put, cost of delaying can actually end up costing quite a lot.
Thanks for that answer. I don't know if you sellers want to jump in, but if not, we can. The next question I'm seeing is, what is the best roof material to have on your flat roof for solar panels long term?
I mentioned that in my video. Now, I don't know if it's the best, or this was what was recommended to me, and what I used was TPO. I don't know what TPO stands for, what the acronym stands for, but it's basically a plastic membrane. And the reason I was told that was more desirable than putting my new roof, re-roofing my roof with a basic asphalt surface that was there prior, is that the TPO does not need recoating every year, asphalt periodically needs recoating, and TPO does not need to be recoated. But there may be other materials that I don't know about, but that's what I was advised to do.
Makes sense. And yeah, I'm seeing Chris's comment about some grant programs encourage you to combine electrification improvements along with solar, or like to stack incentives. Yeah, that's all true. And we would want to make sure we get as many of those to make it the best system that we can. A question about, I'm hearing career opportunities and pathways. What do opportunities for advancement look like? How much of upper management is composed of people who went through the initial training programs? I think Solar States, you have a lot of training programs. So
yeah, I mean, so Jared, who's the sales manager and sort of head of revenue at the moment, came up as a salesperson. Mark, who is one of our sales guys, started as an installer. So did Jackson. They both kind of went from putting panels on roofs to selling systems to folks. They both do heavy community outreach in different forms of fashion. In fact, Jackson helped start the Huntington Park solar initiative that's out there now. He's also a driving force for getting more solarized programs in other counties. I got to meet with a couple guys who are on install teams, and they go from learning in our programs to becoming junior installers, and then becoming senior installers, and then becoming team leads, and becoming more integrated into the broader sort of operations aspect of things, and getting more leadership roles in that regard. Similarly, as people move on from higher positions, the next guys up, or next people up, come up and sort of take on those new roles. So, I mean, there's, as much room as there is within any one organization to grow and move up. At least at Solar States, we're always looking to promote from within and grow our team based off of experience and, commitment to the missions that we participate in.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. The majority of our team leads are all people that were promoted from frontline positions. The majority of our managers were promoted from team leads, and the majority of my vice presidents worked their way up through the company.
that's what we like to hear too. I see the comment in the chat. So I think it's a really important thing. I think the next question I'm seeing is, how do we get in contact with the contractors who presented? Amazing question. Segues great into the point I'd like to eventually end on if we don't have any more questions, that we're happy to stay if we do. So our process, basically, we would ask that people sign up on our website. We have our solarizephilly.org / let me actually get to the slide. There we go. We ask you to our website, solarizephilly.org. There's just a quick and easy sign up form. Ask some basic information like name, address, that kind of thing. There's an option to either upload your bill, or you can the installers will reach out to you after the fact to get your PICO bill, and that basically automatically assigns you to one of the installers. So if you're interested in the lease, we automatically assign you to to PosiGen. If you're interested in one of the purchasing options, we kind of have a little bit of a geographic split, and then we kind of assign customers that way. But again, lots of flexibility to hear from all the installers, lots of flexibility to get a second opinion, compare quotes. And you're also welcome to reach out directly to the installers. It's all on our website. Anything to add there? Did I miss anything?
If I go back real quick to Michael Thomas's question about roof, I think it's really like there's actual tax credits out there for eco roofs and Energy Star roofs as well. So if you want to look into those as an option, those are decent materials. There's a company that like there are companies out there that are doing lower VOC style roofing now that are supposed to help keep the roof ambient temperature. I'd say anything with a warranty on it from the roofer that is substantial. Obviously, roof warranties on flat roofs aren't as extensive as some of the shingle roofs. But if the roofer is willing to put a decent sized warranty on it, it means it's a solid product with a good thickness to it. And that is always a better option with solar, especially on flat roofs. And Doug, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that as well. I know you've done this a long time.
No, I'm just listening. I think you're doing a great job. There's nothing I can put in there.
All right. Thanks, man.
Any other questions?
Sabine, unfortunately, I've got a hard stop here. I want to thank you for hosting this. This was a great opportunity to talk to customers and answer some questions. And hopefully everyone got a lot of information about the different ways to get solar. And as I said before, lease it, loan it, buy it, however you get it, get some solar. It's going to help you save money. It's going to help save the environment. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for so much for joining us, Tom.
Thanks,
Thank you
Thomas.
to all of our panelists so much for joining. And especially the questions have been so varied and such thoughtful questions. So thank you to our participants as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, I mean, if people have questions, we're here. Obviously, Solarize is here. If you want to reach out to us specifically, any of these contractors, I'm sure would love to answer any questions you might have. And yeah, just put more panels on more roofs.
That's what we're all after.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Cool. Well, I guess we can go ahead and end it. Again, if any more questions, my email's on the screen, and all this information is available online. We'll share this presentation. It's currently on our Facebook, and we'll also be, I think, creating a landing spot for it on our website too.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. It's been a great day. Great start to a great week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And stick around for more Solar Week events. Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks again, Leslie.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. This was really interesting. Have a great night.